Don't waste your money on the Sony ZV-1 Mark II, and here's why. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. That smokiness, guys. That lap song is so good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a photo video day. We're going to be talking about the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. The latest and greatest version. I did a video about this, I think it was about 2-3 days ago, somewhere around there. And I talked about it a little bit about what was coming and what I thought was going to come and the price and all the rest of the stuff. Well, it was announced, and I have to say, before you even watch this video, it is a fail. That's in my personal opinion. And today I'm going to tell you why and what you should buy instead, and the reason why you should buy it. So anyways, guys, before we get into it, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. They are 100% free. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you are, click this little button over here. So when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. Also, if you enjoy this video, even the least, throw it a thumbs up. That would be very helpful. And don't forget, we're still doing that 3,000 push-up challenge. So if you'd like to donate to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, there's a little donation button right here. All proceeds go to St. Jude. So I'm going to keep on hitting those push-ups, about 100 a day. I'm actually doing like 200, but let's do 3,000. I'm looking for $1 per push-up. That's what we're going for. I think we're getting close to 2,000 already. We're trying to hit that 3,000 mark before the end of the month. Also, if you just want to say thank you for all of my hard work on this channel, there's a little thank you button down here. You can click on that. If not, that's okay. Consider becoming a member of the channel. That would be even better. One last thing is if you're looking for a VPN or if you need faster internet or maybe even more reliable internet like for me, especially when I'm streaming, check out Speedify. The nice folks over there gave me a promo code, which is JCristina. Use that for 20% off or just click the URL down below. That link will give you automatically 20% off, and that is jcristina.com/speed. So now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, let's jump into this. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to first give you a list of all the things that are the same between the two cameras, the Sony ZV-1 and the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. Now, if you don't know, to preface this, they're about 3 years apart. I think the Mark I came out right around 2020. That's when I bought it. We're now in 2023. So I was really hoping for a lot more than what we're getting here. But once again, I'm going to go through a list of all the things that remain the same, and then we'll get into the things that change. So starting out with, it has the exact same 1-inch stacked sensor. It is 20.1 megapixels. Nothing changed there. Also, the image processor is the exact same image processor that they had 3 years ago. And they both will do 24 frames per second when it comes to burst mode, in photo mode. As far as light sensitivity, nothing changed. Once again, it's the exact same sensor. Nothing really should change unless they squeeze a little bit more out of the sensor using, let's say, software means. But they didn't. It's the exact same thing. ISO 100 to 12,800 ISO. Once again, nothing changes. Now, as far as the autofocus, did anything change? No, it didn't. They both are identical. Autofocus is 315 points of phase detection autofocus points and 425 points of contrast detect. Once again, the same. What also remains the same is tracking. That's eye tracking, face tracking, animal tracking, alien tracking, UFO tracking. You get it. All of the tracking is all identical. Once again, same sensor. Now, when it comes to video, I really thought that they were going to step up the game here. But once again, this is going to be in the list where it remains the same. It is 4K by 30p. That is maximum. 4K 30p. I was shocked by this. I'll get into this by the end of the video. They both have a 3.5 millimeter microphone jack, which to be expected, especially from a vlogging camera. They also have that back focusing or defocusing as well as product showcase mode. I love the product showcase mode. They both have it. They're identical. I use that all the time, and I talked about that in my last video. Go watch that if you want to know more about that. As far as IBIS or in-body image stabilization, once again, it's the same sensor. It is identical, the exact same image stabilization between the two. The back panel, did anything change with it? Is it a better back panel? Is it sharper, more megapixels? No. They are both identical. 921,000 dots of resolution. It's 3 inches, and they are both fully articulating back screens. They're perfect for what they are. Now, there is a little bit of a change, and I'll get to that in just a minute about that back panel. But the physical specs of the back panel are once again identical. Now, the card slot. Now, I would think we're going into 2023, the card slot would change, and it hasn't. They both have an SD card slot, and they are UHS-1, Type 1 card slots. Now, what has changed? Well, the Sony ZV-1 originally came with a 24 to 70 millimeter lens. And this lens varied. It was a variable aperture, let's say. It went from f1.8 to f2.8. And it depended if you were at 24 millimeters or if you were at 70 millimeters. So it would change based on how zoomed in you are, just to make it a little bit more clear and understandable. Well, due to a lot of the feedback, a lot of people said, hey, a vlogging camera needs to be a little bit wider because when you hold the camera out, it's very hard to get a good shot. You're too heady, let's say. You're just in too tight with 24 millimeters. And I don't disagree with that. So what they did is they went with an 18 millimeter to 50 millimeter lens instead. Now that's great and all, but instead of the lens still being 1.8 to 2.8, they ended up having this lens go from f1.8 to 4.0. That is an entire stop slower than the original camera. So the problem with that is twofold. Number one, since it is a slower lens, right? What that means is either you're going to have to reduce shutter speed, which could introduce motion blur, right? Because you're going to need more light because you're getting an entire f-stop less with the new camera at f4.0. So once again, you have to either take your shutter speed and crank that down so that it's slower, and that once again can introduce motion blur, or you have to increase your ISO. Well, what is that going to do? Well, of course, your signal to noise ratio is going to get worse, meaning that you're going to end up with more noise, especially in low light. Not too wise, in my personal opinion, to go from 18 millimeter to 50 millimeter instead of 24 millimeter to 70. But once again, I'll get into that in just a second. Now, like I alluded to, the back screen changed a little bit. The back screen is more akin to an iPhone now, where you could pinch and zoom in, and you could do a little bit more with the back panel than with the old ZV-1. So the functionality, let's say, is more finger friendly, let's call it, more once again like a smartphone. So that is a nice touch. I like that they did that. They also added what they call multi-face recognition. What that means is if there is multiple faces in a frame, the camera will automatically stop down, meaning that your aperture will close down so that it will allow less light in, but it'll also give you a little bit more depth of field. This way, if you have multiple people in the frame, they will both be, let's say, or all three of them in focus, even though they are maybe 6 inches apart. One is closer to the camera than the other. It will once again stop down so that they're both in focus. I like that, but remember, to do so, what do you have to do? When you're making that aperture smaller, right? That means that you need more light. So something has to give. You either have to slow down the shutter or you have to ramp up the ISO. And I already told you what both of those things do. Now, is it good? Well, kind of, sort of. I think it's situational. It depends. Your miles may vary. It might turn out to be good, or maybe some images might turn out grainy. It really depends on how much distance each person in the frame is, on how far that it has to push that f-stop. Anyways, the other thing they did was provide better audio quality. And to do that, they ended up using the same 3-capsule microphone as they did with the E10. And the E10 has basically this microphone that has a pattern that either will pick up forward, or will pick up in reverse, or it will pick up like omnidirectional, everything. And that's exactly what the ZV-1 Mark II does. So that's kind of cool if you're going to use the onboard microphone and not an external mic. So what's the price difference between these two cameras, the ZV-1 and the ZV-1 Mark II? Well, the Mark I is sitting at $750, whereas the Mark II is going to come in at about $900. When I look at this, I see a 3-year newer camera, but without any new features. I mean, it literally has the same sensor, the same everything. I mean, the list of the same stuff is like twice as long or 3 times as long as anything that's new. It's just amazing to me that they literally didn't even change they did nothing, right? They did just about nothing. They could have at least done something, added a little bit more megapixels, let's say. That would be nice. Or maybe a little bit better light sensitivity with that new sensor. Or maybe they could have added in, instead of 4K 30, given us 4K 60p, right? I mean, this isn't a lot for 2023. Think about it. 2023, providing 4K 30 on a camera with a 1-inch sensor. I mean, that thing can do 4K at 120 with no problem. I guarantee it. But they didn't change anything. Once again, it's literally a copy paste. What also amazes me is this thing comes with a UHS Type 1 SD card slot. I mean, it's 2023. You can't put in a Type 2. They probably thought to themselves, well, we're not giving them any faster burst rate on speed of capturing photos. We're not giving them any faster rate when it comes to capturing video. We're not doing anything extra. Well, they really don't need a faster card slot. I mean, that's the only thing I can think about it. But still, give us at least a Type 2 where it's a faster card slot, so even taking the data off will be quicker. It does have a Type C port on it in comparison to a standard USB, so pulling off the images will be quicker. But if you want to actually take that card out and stick it into a reader, well, a Type 2 would be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know, guys. When I look at this and, for example, I see the audio and they say, oh, we give you better audio. But any vlogger out there that's worth their weight in salt is just simply going to use an external audio recording device anyways, even if it's just simply a Rode video mic or something. Something that's like $80, $100. That is going to give you 10 times better audio than the microphones that's in this camera. Even the new mics. It doesn't matter, right? So by them saying, oh, we give you a better microphone, a 3-capsule microphone, one pointing forward, one backwards, and one omnidirectional, okay, but we're not going to use it anyways, right? I mean, you're going to use an external source of some sort and then sync later on in post, or directly in the camera, like I said, with like a Rode or something right on the top of it, and that will give you better audio. You're not going to use an internal mic. That's just ridiculous. So when I look at this, we're looking at $150 more. $150. Is it worth it? Well, I mean, if you want that little touchback screen panel so you can pinch and zoom a little bit, if that does it for you, or if these mics, which you're not going to use, does it for you, or the face recognition feature of maybe an extra stop of ND. There is nothing here, guys. There is absolutely nothing to see. And that is just sad, in my personal opinion, because I absolutely love the Sony ZV-1. I think it's awesome. I'm using it right now, right up here for capturing top-down stuff. I love it. It is an awesome, awesome camera. And in my last video, I told you for about 2 years, I was using that Sony ZV-1 for a main camera. Instead of right now, we're using the Canon EOS R. But I used that camera and no one knew the difference between what you see here now or the Sony ZV-1. They were both awesome for what we're doing, right? It is an awesome camera. So my recommendation to you is don't even look at this Sony ZV-1 Mark II. Just don't. If you want the Sony ZV-1, I think it is awesome, right? Pick one up, get a refurbished if you can, right? Pick up even a new one for $750. I know you can get them cheaper, especially now that the Mark II is out. You're going to see them in the $600 range, probably $699, $650. At that price, they are worth it. It is an awesome pocketable camera with the built-in lens. You also get your 24 to 70 millimeters on the first one, so you get that extra zoom. And if you need to go out a little bit further for capturing yourself, put it on a stick. It's not a big deal. It doesn't weigh anything. All right? It's easier to push the camera further away from you, all right, than try to deal with an entire stop less of light. Once again, more noise, or possible motion blur. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Anyways, those are my thoughts. This is my opinion. I want to know what your thoughts are. What is your opinion? Do you want a ZV-1 or maybe a ZV-1 Mark II? If you do, down below, put put that down there. Also, why? Which one are you interested in looking at? Which one would you most likely buy if you were to purchase one of these? All right. I want to hear from you. I want to know your thoughts. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, throw it a thumbs up. That would be awesome. Don't forget to subscribe. Click this little button over here, all of those things. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.